For 40 years, the Lokhande family has operated this shop next door to a mosque, just steps from Khao San Road. They serve 2 dishes and 2 dishes only, massaman curry and oxtail soup. By lunchtime, they're sold out. The best bet is to come here early in the morning, sometime after the sunrise call to prayer. Today, it's chicken massaman, and they sell it for about $1 a piece. It's not really a Thai way to sell curry. Usually you pay for a bowl or a plate. Here you order per piece, and the curry itself comes free as a sauce, kind of like how it works in Indonesia. Except this place is most definitely Thai. The owner was born here in Bangkok 63 years ago, and his customers are mostly Thai Muslims from here or from Krabi or Phuket or the Malaysian border provinces. There was a CNN thing a few years ago where a massive panel picked the world's best foods, and the choice for number 1 was massaman curry. Well, this is the dish as it's supposed to be. There's no chef's flourishes, no creative add-ons, nothing but a starkly basic version of this stew of peanuts and spices, and it's absolutely sensational. And then there's the oxtail. This is an ingredient I grew up with in Virginia, and here it's treated with an incredible respect. It's stewed for hours until it's so tender it falls apart, and is served in a soup that looks simple, but is just exploding with spice and flavor. This is the good stuff.
ก็จะใช้เครื่องเทศและเครื่องเทศของอินเดีย Curry powder from India เครื่องมันจะคนละเครื่องอินเดียนี่จะหนักไปทางเครื่องเทศแต่ทางไทยนี่จะเป็นพวกพริกพวกข่าตะไคร้ใบมะกรูดอะไรอย่างเงี้ยจะหนักไปทางนั้น
Wait, did he say India? I thought Thai Muslim food and Thai Indian food were 2 completely different categories. What kind of crossover fusion insanity are we talking about here? Do I have to rethink everything about Thai food, world history? How did Thai Muslim dishes like massaman curry come to exist at all? It's almost as if there must have been some empire that connected the Arab world with India and eventually reached Southeast Asia. If only we could figure out what that was. Maybe we could start making sense out of this.
One essence is essentially in the history books, they were like, the Marvel superheroes who got thrashed and then came back.
We had some big questions. Lucky for us, when the topic is food, there are always answers to be found in Bangkok. This is the Charoen Krung Food Festival, held once a year at the Haroon Mosque in downtown Bangkok. And this seemed like the best place to start our investigation. Thailand is a Buddhist country, but there's a massive Muslim population. Almost 5 million people in Thailand practice the Islamic faith. That's around 12% of the country. A lot of the Thai Muslim culture is centered in the south, along the panhandle linking mainland Southeast Asia to the archipelagos of Malaysia and Indonesia. But there are mosques all over the country, as immigrants have been arriving here for centuries from all over the world. Thailand, after all, is kind of at the center of everything. It's obviously close to Vietnam and China, but it's only a 4-hour flight from Bangkok to Pakistan. The food at the festival showcased the flavors of the country, from Arabic dishes with Thai flourishes to undoubtedly Thai dishes like this hormok steamed fish curry, which comes from the Cambodian border, served here with halal ingredients. There was even massaman curry and oxtail soup, although here, the vendors serving it were Arabic and Malaysian, not Indian. We had to keep looking, but thankfully the Haroon Mosque happens to be right around the corner from this place, and any excuse to come here, I'll take it. This might be my favorite place for lunch in the world. Like, seriously, there's a small pantheon of places where if I had one morning left on Earth and enough time for one more meal, I don't know, maybe Soto Kesawan in Medan and Zazuz in Charlottesville, even though I think that's probably closed now, and then this place, Ameen Biryani. It's an 80-year-old street cart in the middle of central Bangkok that has been serving for several generations this incredible Thai-Pakistani cuisine that's been passed down from generations, absorbing elements of Thai food. So what you see in front of me on this table is some of the best parts of Indian food, Arabic cuisine, and Thai food that's all combined into one incredible meal for just a few dollars here in the middle of Bangkok. Eating here, we can start to make sense of the place that we just had breakfast this morning, but we can also start to find hints of the genesis of so many elements of modern cuisine. 1526, modern-day Uzbekistan. A warrior and chieftain named Babur, descended directly from Timur and from Genghis Khan, is struggling to keep his hold over Samarkand after defeating and then losing the territory multiple times over the course of half a decade. So he sets his sights on India. Now, Babur was a Muslim, and through his tribe, the Barlas, Babur had a close relationship with the imperial leaders of both the Ottoman Empire and the Persians. In fact, even though Babur came from Mongol descent, his name itself was Persian, meaning tiger. So Babur enlisted the help of his allies and began a path of conquest, sweeping across Afghanistan and invading and later burning down the cities of Punjab to avenge his ancestor Timur, who once ruled the territory. Fast forward a couple decades and Babur's new empire, the Mughals, now ruled by his son Humayun, are struggling to maintain their hold over India. Humayun goes into exile in Persia, then returns, backed by the Persian army, and conquers and unites much of the Indian subcontinent. The third Mughal emperor, Akbar, is considered one of the greatest of the Mughal rulers. It was Akbar who expanded the reach of the empire to all corners of South Asia, connecting modern-day Iran and Turkey across India and almost to the Chinese border. Akbar was a warrior, but he was also a progressive ruler, permitting freedom of religion and promoting culture and architecture and economic prosperity. It was the Mughal Empire that combined culture and architecture from across the region, leaving behind structures like the Taj Mahal, and blending flavors and ingredients into dishes we now know today. It turns out that when you start learning about food history, you find a lot of slow evolution, but you also find these big bang moments, those massive shifts in world history that change the course of food forever. And that is the beginning of the story of how this got here. So let's look specifically at the dishes we've eaten today at a Thai-Indian Muslim restaurant and Thai-Pakistani street cart. Any of this stuff deserves its own video and deep dives, and we'll get there one day, but the broad strokes look like this. First, masaman curry. The idea of curry, which is a pretty broad term for stewed meats and spices, first finds historical evidence more than 4,500 years ago in Mohenjo-Daro, which is in today's Pakistan. The people in the Indus Valley have for millennia been grinding spices into a paste and cooking them into a stew. When the Mughals conquered the region, they brought with them the heavy, meat-based dishes of Uzbekistan and Central Asia. At the same time, traders from the New World were bringing chili peppers, tomatoes, and potatoes. And that seems to be the genesis of what we now know as modern curry. Anyway, the Mughals spread this dish throughout the Indian subcontinent, and after the English colonized India and waves of migrants from the south moved across the ocean to another colony, Malaysia, they brought with them their curries, which eventually mixed with local ingredients like coconut milk, and that found its way north across the border into Thailand. Biryani, on the other hand, takes its origin from the other extreme of the Mughal Empire, and the rice dishes of pilaf from Persia or modern-day Iran. Pilaf, combined with spicy Indian rice dishes that were popular at the time, became a staple of the Mughal imperial court. As this dish worked its way from east to west, it eventually became a favorite dish for the rulers of the original home of the Mughals, Uzbekistan, where it remained primarily a royal dish until as recently as the 1930s. Again, as with curry, biryani became popular across the Indian subcontinent, and eventually, 4 centuries after the dish was first served to the Mughal emperor, became a favorite in Thailand, known as khao mok. So we know how the Mughal Empire spread and combined cuisines throughout the world. But in general, their contribution to modern culinary culture seems to have been taking dishes and ingredients from all over Asia and introducing them to other parts of Asia. What happened next was up to the cooks. Dishes evolved like they always do, like they're still doing today. But if we could go back in time to find the original forms of Mughal cuisine, what would it taste like? Where did all this come from? Now we knew our mission, so we scrapped the rest of our schedule and took a drive to Phahurai, Bangkok's Little India. There's a place here tucked between the incense shops and spice counters called Basmati International. I've been a regular here since we stumbled in by accident half a year ago and found a life-changing masala tea. This place is proper OG Indian, and it turns out that some of their specialties just happen to be the food of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire fell to the British under Queen Victoria in the 1850s. And 170 years is a long time in world history. Since then, most of the dishes that originated in the Mughal Empire have evolved and changed into their present form across the entire world. However, there are still some dishes that survive in their original form. This is Mughlai paneer. It's an ancient royal dish made with paneer, nuts, onions, and a load of spices. And it's eaten with Mughlai paratha, which derives from the royal court of the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. We've already talked about the first three Mughal emperors, men whose conquests shaped the world and redefined modern civilization. And then there was Jahangir. Now, I should preface this by mentioning that some modern historians actually look quite favorably on Jahangir, arguing that despite all his faults, he had good intentions and did a lot of good things, but he was uncomfortable in the role of imperial leader. But in general in the history books, Jahangir is referred to as that guy, the inevitable scion of a powerful dynasty who takes a liking to the finer things and makes little effort to actually do his job. Either way, the one thing everyone agrees is he really liked good food. He was the first Mughal ruler who took a liking to local Indian fare along with his ancestors' preferences of Uzbek and Persian. He had the best dishes from across his mighty empire served in his palace, and it's the recorded history of his imperial chefs along with the writings of Persian scholars that teaches us a lot of what we know about Mughal food and the history of some of today's most famous dishes. By the time Jahangir died and his son took power, a man named Shah Jahan, the food of the Mughal Empire was at a crescendo, and Shah Jahan spent his reign promoting culture. He was the one who built the Taj Mahal, for example, and it was in his reign that the dishes collected by Jahangir began to spread across the Indian subcontinent and eventually around the world. The Mughal Empire fell to the British in 1857, but their impact still resonates today. But what do we know? We don't really study pre-imperial India in American public schools. 20 minutes ago, all I knew about the Mughals was from some references in Civilization 6. Hell, I assumed they were pronounced Muggles, like Harry Potter. So to go any deeper, we'd need to find someone who studied this subject their entire life. Every afternoon, if we're not filming and it's not pouring down rain, I'm usually playing tennis with a friend from India who happens to be a massive history buff and a retired commander in the Indian Navy. Anand has studied Indian military history, and the Mughal Empire is a subject he knows almost as well as he knows Indian food.
Biryani, I would say one of those, I would say that the black lentils, and really long, cooked over a long period of time. They may take 2 days to cook it over a slow fire. Those are the kind of Mughlai dishes I would recognize. They also turned vegetarian. They included vegetarian dishes into what was essentially a non-vegetarian, habit, which was meats and all. They are the ones, a couple of those emperors got vegetarian dishes into it. Because today, anything which is Mughal or Mughlai, they call it Mughlai, has both veg and non-veg in the same sort of gravy.
In basic Thai food, in things that are not Thai Indian food,
Yeah.
but just what's become accepted as Thai food. Curries served in Thailand are a Thai dish.
Yes.
Biryani in a Thai style is a Thai dish.
Yes.
However, at some point, these didn't evolve independently. They all were introduced from people coming from different cultures.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you see, what happened is Mughal essentially were Muslims. I mean, you can cut out the religion part, I mean, if it is there, but they were essentially the Muslims. They were the majority of the meat eaters because most of the North Indian Hindus, the West, they were all vegetarians, I mean, they're not like that kind of meat eaters. Third, there are a lot of pockets in India, where after independence also, pre-independence also, which are Muslim dominated, like Hyderabad, which is in central south of India. You will find amazing curry, Mughlai kind of food there. Delhi is another place where you'll find it. Mumbai, pockets of Mumbai, you'll find amazing Mughlai curry kind of food. And I think it's from these places, individual places where it has, when those people have moved, or the people living there have moved, it's from there these things have come. Those individual centers which have provided them.
Okay, last thing. Tell me what we're about to eat here.
Okay. So this is the gulab jamun.
This is the gulab jamun is in my list of
Yes.
Mughlai desserts, which is the reason why I brought this
okay,
here.
yes,
It's
yes,
something
absolutely,
that-
absolutely.
But
So
again, this is sort of the final point of what we're talking about, is that just because something is associated as a Mughlai dish doesn't necessarily mean that that was invented in that time period or has anything to
absolutely.
do with the empire. It just means that's when it was spread. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure all these dishes are because the Mughals spread it. That's why they're called Mughlai.
right.
Either they invented it or they spread it.
So essentially, it goes like this. The Mughal Empire brought Arabic, Persian, Uzbek, Punjabi, and regional Indian foods and spread them across the subcontinent. Cuisine from the Mughal period was preserved and promoted in the time of the only peacetime emperors the Mughals ever saw. In 1857, the English defeated the Mughals and colonized India. South Indians eventually left and settled in another English colony, Malaysia, where they brought their Mughal-influenced foods and the locals added their own native spices. And eventually enough Malaysians crossed the northern border into Thailand that dishes like curries became integral parts of the Thai food identity, albeit in a different form than a Mughal emperor might have recognized. And none of this would have happened if not for that first step, the culinary Big Bang that was the Mughal conquest, and maybe the aftermath of the conquest, when a very rich king with no battles to win decided to focus his attention on food. And honestly, if given the chance, wouldn't we all? Subscribe for more from OTR.
You'll put the whole thing in. Otherwise, it's not.
Do you know how much I've eaten today?